nKENTEn is a creative collective. It's a network of different artists who have various abilities and skills, and they come together to collaborate. The idea behind nKENTEn was always to give these creators opportunities to address the issues they felt necessary to put out there into the world. And we've been quiet for quite a while. And then Decaf happened. So Decaf has been a podcast that has generated a lot of attention. But the idea was never for Decaf to be the focus. It's just one of many nKENTEn projects. So hopefully this year, there's going to be a lot more creative activity around nKENTEn. And this project that I'm working on is the first one. The project is called Ellipses. The word itself is Greek, and it refers to that punctuation that consists of 3 full stops in sequence. And literally, the Greek word speaks to omissions. Something has been left out. Something is falling short. It's not quite there. And that's significant for me because I believe that there are a lot of things we hint at, a lot of things that we suggest, a lot of things that we scratch only the surface of, and so they're there, but they're not fully there. I think there are many things that don't get said, but only get suggested. And this chapbook, this collection of writing is about bringing some of those to light. I also like the idea of circles, because I think about the notion of going 360 degrees and coming back, going full circle and returning to yourself, returning to who you are. And I think this project is very much that for me. It's returning to my own voice, and something that I departed from for quite some time, writing. And then of course, ellipses are a series of dots, and given that I go in online spaces by Eli Tetteh, I thought that was a nice little connection there. In 2014, my mother passed, and from then to 2015 was about me finding my feet. It was about me dealing with that loss. It was about me processing the incredible agony and hurt that happens when you lose a parent. 2015 to 2016 was me beginning to take my first steps out of that sunken place, if you will. And that was when Decaf started. That was when I got back to collaborating with people and getting those creative juices going again. And then 2016 to 2017 has been about getting back to me personally having creative output. I think also for me, 2016 was a year of loss. We lost Prince, we lost David Bowie, we lost a lot of incredible people who are really special and who gave a lot to the world. And I was reminded that, first of all, you don't have a very long time here on this earth. And so if you waste it not doing anything, then your output dies with you. But also, these were people who let their freak flags fly. They were themselves, loudly, proudly, unapologetically themselves. And them putting that out there, their weirdness, their strangeness, their oddities out there, I think gave so many of us comfort. And I think the more people who remain silent, the more we are not giving others the opportunity to be comforted by us letting our freak flags fly. I think that poetry is really powerful art. I think it has a brevity and a beauty about it that very few art forms have. I think poetry has been a really burgeoning art here in Ghana. There are a lot of poets, a lot of people attempting poetry and spoken word and doing some really interesting things. I think a lot of people recently have been going the spoken word EP route, and so that's something that has happened with Akotawa's EP. That's something that's happened with Vanessa's EP, and I've enjoyed both of those projects quite a bit. But I don't think we have a tradition in recent contemporary times of putting the words on the page as much in a non-digital form. And so people blog, people have their postings online, but actually having something physical, something analog that you can hold, that you can touch, that people can take home with them and put in their back pockets and pass from person to person. I think there's something powerful about that. And so I wanted to take this tradition of chapbooks and to apply it in a Ghanaian context and see what happened. I've heard it said by DeRay of the Black Lives Matter movement that protests are an exercise in telling the truth in public. And to me, that's what vulnerability is. Vulnerability is about telling the truth in public. It could be an audience of one or an audience of many. I definitely believe that in this society today, that our generation and many others, but especially our generation, is often too guarded. We have too many walls up, too many defenses. I think that we're all quite afraid of being hurt. And I think vulnerability is about allowing yourself, or at least opening yourself up to the possibility of being hurt. You may or may not be hurt, but I think you have to allow for that possibility at the very least. And I think that some of the strongest art, some of the most memorable art comes from people being vulnerable, comes from people letting others in. And I think a lot of people are making art that is a few layers shy of them being their most vulnerable selves, because we all like to keep up appearances. I really don't know how it's going to be received, I guess. I think it's a bit unconventional in a variety of ways. For one, like I said, a lot of the art that we make, I think it's very interesting, compelling art, but it's not very naked art in a lot of ways. I think the idea of a chapbook as a format is going to be a bit unconventional. I think people are going to wonder, what is this old school, low-tech, simple thing? But that's the aesthetic we're going for. And so yeah, I think a lot of people are going to scratch their heads. People are going to wonder. And I think some people are going to embrace it. I think that the issues I'm touching on and tackling have to do with things that we're starting to talk about as a society, but perhaps not enough. I think the depths to which our minds and our hearts go when it comes to the pain and the agony and the difficulties and the challenges and the fear and the frustration of just day-to-day living. I think those are feelings that a lot of us push down. And I want to exhume those